Hello and welcome everybody to another episode of Hairyman, Hoaxes, and Hoodwinks. So glad you all could be here. It looks I see everybody. Yay, everybody's here. I'm so glad you guys could be here. It's a wonderful Sunday afternoon. The skies are blue. I'm still feeling a little crappy, so you guys will have to bear with me on that. You may see me go in and out occasionally to blow my nose, but it's all good. I'm in good spirits, and got a good show set up for you today. And man, I'm excited because I got somebody I miss a lot.
Holy Twin Powers, activate!
Woo! What's up?
Hey, Brent Dill from the Tall Ones, everybody. He's back.
How's it going? I tried that woohoo last time I was out with Tristan and no response. So I don't know. I might have to change it up a little.
We might
have to throw an extra thing in there.
For sure. But I miss you, buddy.
Oh, yeah, me too.
Anyway, I got another guest for you all, of course. Let's bring on my next guest. Woohoo,
nice, I get some music.
Man, yeah. The legend.
You got some music there, buddy.
Hey, thanks.
Good. Hey, I saw that interview you did when you were there on Untold. It was great.
Doug. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, that was fun.
It was man, you couldn't peel away from it, listening to all the audio and everything. Yeah. So everybody, it was a great show. It was long. It was very long.
Pretty long, yeah.
But it was great. It was good, and I know that I've seen a lot of people there, and it was good stuff. Good stuff. So how are you doing?
I'm doing good. I hope you feel better. I'm sorry you're sick.
Oh yeah, thanks. It's everybody's telling me this one lingers. Stays for a while. So my voice is a little scratchy and a little bit congested, but I'm not gonna let it get me down.
You're fighter.
I'm here. Right. But let's take a quick look at who we got in the chat. And I don't think I could go all the way to the top, honestly. You guys have just been chatting her up. Uncle Bones, Grasshopper. Is that Grasshopper? The Howler. Hey, buddy. How you doing? Former everything, Mr. J. Fritz. I saw him a little while ago on my sister's show. Sandra Piper, as always. Hello, dear. How's Florida? Angel Nolan, Paradox Fossils. Who else we got? Sharon in the house. Jake. Hey, Jake Smith in the house. Paranormal Chop Shop guy. Good to see you. I think I saw JoJo up here somewhere. JoJo Bones. He's going to be on after me, folks, just so you know.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Welcome, everybody. I see your eyes. I see you. So if I missed you, sorry. I love you. And got a good show for you. We're going to be talking about where are the Smarties? Where are they? And it's not the ones you eat, even though I put it in the promo.
That's totally what I thought, too, when she asked me. It's like, yeah, I do love Smarties. I could probably talk a long time about Smarties.
He did say that. He's like, well, I love Smarties.
Apparently I was off.
They taste like energy drinks. That's what I thought.
Yeah. Well, we talk about this subject a lot in the field, and it's all about those scientists, the ones with all the brains that are supposed to be here in the field. And so I'm not putting a big old kibosh on the woo side, okay? If you believe in the woo, you believe in the woo. But I come at it from a standpoint of the flesh and blood. A lot of you know that. And for that, I want to know about how we get this to science. And to do that, we have to have the Smarties. We have to have those scientists involved in the field. So it doesn't, and it also, it kind of doesn't pertain to the, what we call the knowers, the people who have actually seen them, because they've seen them, they've gotten their evidence, they're past this point. I'm talking about the 95% of the rest of the world, the rest of the United States. We're a very small community, remember? I want the rest of the world to know, and for them to know this, that Bigfoot exists or Sasquatch exists. They have to have science. There has to be some type specimen or something that we can link to the past. So we need those for that to happen. Okay, and so came up with some questions. Those questions are the same ones we always ask. Who do we need? Who do we need in the community who have these degrees, who have done oodles and oodles of schooling to get those degrees to help with that? And who do we have? Who do we have right now in the field? Because it's a very small list, actually. And how do we get more interested in participating in the field? Is it all about the money? Is it? And I had a cool thing for that. Here comes the money.
Money talk. I like it.
Is that what it's about? Is it all about, pushing out the dough to get them involved? What about, is it the stigma about Bigfoot? And who gets to decide who the authority is? These are the questions that I asked myself when I started to come up with the topic. So that's what we are going to go through today. And hopefully Brent and Tristan can help me talk about this stuff. And
absolutely
too. So if you guys have questions or answers, put those in caps so that I can see you. Okay. And so who do we need? This is the list I came up with. So you guys let me know if what I'm missing. How about that? I say biologists, anthropologists, primatologists, DNA geneticists, wildlife agencies, government officials, military scientists, boots on the ground researchers and weekend warriors, skeptics and critical thinkers, the woo. We need the woo, okay? I'm not going to squash on them. We need them because they like to answer the questions we can't answer, okay? So I think they're kind of vital in the overall scheme of things. The media, you have to have them because they will spin the narrative. Video sound analysis, meta-analysis. I don't know if those are all one thing or not. They are just kind of like brainstorming. And there may be more. There may be more out there. But they're all an integral part of putting it down on paper, getting the real Bigfoot to be put in the books, so to speak. We need those scientists, the ones who are studying life. That's all they do, is study life, from cells to organisms to populations, right? Everything we have is all speculation at this point. So a little bit of everybody. Do we focus on one general area? What do you think, Brent? Am I wrong in thinking these are all? Oh, dog.
No, everybody plays a part in help trying to solve this mystery, and everybody here on the list is just as important as the other, and it's just, I think right now what we should probably be focusing on, since you did mention that there's no real evidence and no real, path towards that the boots on the ground researchers, and really getting them to better understand what research is, getting them to better perform research out there on what is and isn't Bigfoot related, and try and better educate the people who would be presenting this evidence to the actual scientists, because, we just really kind of need the scientists to help verify what we're collecting out in the field. And, at that point, it should speak for itself. And, but yeah, for me, I think that the boots on the ground is probably one of the more important aspects right now that I think we need to dial in more, because it's so out there on what everybody's hypothesis is of what is and isn't Bigfoot related. So,
and that's a big point. What you just said is that when you're doing the scientific method, you are testing hypotheses, and you're trying to figure out something that's repeatable, so that if you go out and you're seeing a Bigfoot playing with their kid, can I go out and see that too? And that's kind of something that I don't think is going to happen. I don't think that's something that, because it's so elusive, it's going to be super hard to be able to test these theories over and over and over. Now, we do have people who are, say, well, they did this over here. I think they did this over here. And then on the other side of the country, they did it over there too. So we've got a lot of different scenarios where the same thing is happening, which is really good to document and to come together and share that information.
But is it really properly documented in a way that scientists and the general public would be able to accept, as far as, like with some of the stuff that you're talking about, a lot of it is just what people are saying, what Bigfoot does. There's no actual proof that there is. So, you got to kind of even back it up even more towards, the information that we're actually getting from some of these people out in the field, that a lot of these people who are probably well-intentioned, and, I admit, I consider myself one of the boots on the ground, but I have no real, investigation training. I don't have any real research training, as far as like, I didn't go to any college to learn about research and proper tactics and techniques in order to properly collect and understand what I'm looking at. So a lot of us, which I think makes up like 99 or so percent of the subject, I think that's kind of where we're at, and kind of need to better dial in so we can, better figure out what's going on out there.
Right. Because, a lot of people, they're searching for themselves, right? They're out there to find their own answers. And so they're not documenting things. It's more of, it's for me. It's it's kind of like how I do it too. If I go out and I'm taking a hike, it's because I'm taking a hike. And if I along the way see some weird stuff, it's all for me. But there are hardcore people who call themselves hardcore researchers, but aren't really documenting their findings. It's like, what do we do with it? Is it just ignored in the science? Is it, or is it just put on the back burner? What do you think, Tristan?
Well, I was gonna say my mom has a journal that she takes with her every time,
Mhm.
and she jots down. If we get some kind of possible evidence, she'll jot down, the time, the day, and the conditions and things like that. So I think it's good to at least somebody in a group to have a journal with them and jot information down. Because yeah,
Right.
I'm kind of like you, Nikki. Like I don't like on the show the other night, people were asking me what were the night conditions during the chorus audio, and
Mm.
like I can't remember that kind of stuff. I mean, I know during the day it was pretty warm, but at night, I usually don't pay attention to those kind of conditions because it's just like every
Mhm.
other day. So and of course, I don't expect something to happen. That chorus audio happened out of nowhere, so who
Right.
knows? So I do think it's a good idea to start documenting things. Absolutely, I guess when you're out there,
Mhm.
but I don't have
Well, it seems like,
I don't have that mentality to think of that every time, because I just go out there. So.
but that stirs up the question is like, okay, so now that you've been asked those questions, you think now in the future that this is something you're probably, oh, I might jot that down or tell my mom, hey, write down it's 70 degrees today and tonight we'll check the temperature before we go out. Is it something that you think you learned that you might do in the future?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely. And I think that's part of being a boots on the ground, and kind of like what Brent was just talking about. Like, we don't know everything when we go out there. We're kind of pretty amateurs to this, and so as we go along on this journey, if you want to call it, we'll learn to do some things, and then add that to our expeditions, and yeah, and catalog, and jot down just so like in the future, like, okay, during this time of the month, this activity happens, or this time of the month this activity doesn't happen as much. So yeah, it's definitely good I guess it's good to have a record of things as you're progressing, and as the years go on and seasons go on. But yeah, for me, for example, after what people have suggested, sure, yeah, I'll definitely start taking more taking more of a notice of what's around me and what kind of conditions I'm in. So yeah, so I think it's a learning process. I think with every year, it's a learning process for everybody. And going back to the boots on the ground, unfortunately, I don't think the scientific community is going to take us more seriously until we provide them something that's substantial, because
More viable.
more viable, because everybody keeps going back to the Patterson film, and that's 50 plus years old, and we need to get past that. We need to find something that'll make these scientists take a better look and notice it, bring their head up on it a little bit more. And unfortunately, I think boots on the ground people are the people to do that. We have to provide that evidence, because I don't see these other scientists going out there on their own to do it, because they don't think it's real, a lot of them. So we have to provide that to them.
Yeah, and that's kind of one of the biggest lacking things right now, is there's no real basic fundamental process of that going on in the subject. And so like say, we're just kind of winging it. And it's just that's why I think like discussions more about research plans and having more discussions to better figure out those problems will, I think, probably lead us in the right direction on where we need to go, and not get hung up on stick structures and stuff that we don't really have. It's either definitely not Bigfoot, or there's no way we could prove it is in any way.
Right.
Yeah, and we are on the 5-yard line, and it's hard to move it forward because we keep getting the same kind of thing over and over. The audio, the stick structures, footprints. We've seen a whole bunch of that over the years, so it's really time to get past that and try to find something more substantial. Like, again, if you want to go back to the Patterson film, we got to find something that's a really good 4K, 8K video of one, possibly. I would say the body is the ultimate thing, but I'm not after a body. I just want to get as much evidence as I can of it, and not have to think, oh, I have to find a dead Bigfoot, or I have to shoot one in order to prove it. Because I personally don't think you don't need to do that to prove it. If you can get really good footage of one, for example, that might be enough. We have to find footage of one now, though, with today's technology and with high resolution, and that way people don't keep saying, oh, it's all blurry, and it's like Patty, it's all blurry and pixelated and all this other. I mean, I'm so sick of seeing these photos coming up of people zooming in. It's like these photos are all zoomed in on things, and you can't. They have to circle it, and it's just BS.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sick of it.
I've got some good ones for later on in the show, but
there's a whole segment of subculture in this subject that really follow the pareidolia pictures and really believe that is evidence, and it's trying to separate that from the reality of it. It's becoming more difficult, especially with how more easy it is for the pictures like that to be passed off as actual evidence.
Yeah, and I really want to get past that, and of course I'll bring up the Igor pictures that have been going around recently.
Oh, I have those queued up.
Those are sweet. I love that.
We'll talk about
pictures.
that too.
Bigfoot driving a car. Come on. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Don't spoil it. Don't spice up the fun.
What? It's setting it up. Just teased it a little.
Tease a little bit.
Tease.
But yeah, I unfortunately I think it's gonna take us in order to provide that kind of evidence for the scientific community. It's not gonna be scientific community. How long has Meldrum and Grover Krantz been in this? You know, and they haven't really provided anything that's scientific for them. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's like we have to do that for them.
Yeah, well, they might have had personal experiences that got them interested in, even
Right.
more passionate, maybe even backing up their current beliefs. I know Jeff, I think, thinks he saw one at one time up with standing at a point, and maybe he did, maybe he didn't, and but yeah, right.
Yeah, right. Because we have believers. I mean, we have primatologists like Esteban Sarmiento and Jane Goodall. They
Yep.
both made comments that it's a possibility, that they exist. So, and we know, Esteban has gone out and done some expeditions. So, but it's not the main focus, of course, because they're not getting paid to do that stuff, and unfortunately,
Right. Well, we don't have a Jane Goodall in the Bigfoot community. We don't have somebody like that going out there 24/7
Yeah.
or spending as much time.
It's just
Like you said, weekend warriors. That's I think Brent, we talked about that. Like, there's not enough people going out all the time. It's just weekend warriors.
It's I can see why Bigfoot is still undiscovered because of the lack of people actually out there looking for it. Sure, there's a lot of people out in the woods. Doesn't mean they're going to see a Bigfoot, process and encounter with a Bigfoot, or even speak up about having a Bigfoot encounter. And there's a lot of forest out there, and not a lot of people out there properly looking for it. And it comes down to, I think, building better techniques of investigations, techniques to better dial in certain investigation standards. So when you go out, you could it's more like a research plan and have it more structured and put together, so you'll have hopefully better results.
right.
Yeah,
For sure.
I really do think we need like a Jane Goodall or Diane Fossey type of person out there. And but for me, I'm not the kind of person that likes to go out and like hunting for them or looking for them. I've said this before. I like them coming to us, because I think we get more success that way. I think they're more curious
More
about
and
us.
more and more. You are correct.
I think that's how Jane Goodall did it. Is she built up trust through gifting bananas and stuff, and habituation to gain trust with the troops, so she can better research them and get close to them and better understand them. And I absolutely agree. I think that's kind of what we need right now is somebody out there with that perspective and mindset that's not going to be kicked up by every little thing of like, oh, this is big, but this is big, just having a poor investigation. Somebody whose investigation is so dialed in that they understand what they're doing. And I don't even know anybody of that going on out here. Nobody can do it long term. We all have lives. I have kids. It's like there's nobody out there doing it. But that's kind of what we need with that mindset, because this is, I think, a little more complex than trying to befriend. Like the lower primates and stuff. We're trying to befriend something that's a little different. And so I think it probably takes that special type of person to be out there long-term, living off the land, kind of earning their respect in a way. And I think that really kind of get close enough to actually do some research.
Yeah, like the off the grid people out there. I mean, you see a whole bunch of YouTube channels of these people supposedly living off the grid, but I've even asked them in comments, have they had any possible Bigfoot activity, and they never respond, or they never say that in their videos. So it's interesting to me, like, how many people are supposedly off the grid and they don't have any kind of activity happening with them. You would think possibly they would.
They're not paying attention to it, because I think Bigfoot, one of their advantages is being able to exist within the layers of the nature of the forest, and which we have a harder time perceiving, but they exist within it in such a way that that's why we're at this point. We know very little about them.
Yeah, like just like hikers. How many hikers do you think go out there and they walk past footprints and other possible evidence, but they're not even looking for that kind of a thing. So.
Yeah, exactly.
So you got people out there who are oblivious or who are not knowledgeable on the subject, and they're probably passing by great evidence and they don't even know it. So that's another thing to think about.
I'm sure that happens a lot. And think of all the people who have seen them and don't ever say anything. They keep it to themselves.
Exactly.
Yeah, for sure. So who do we got now? Who have we had now? Who has cooperated? We have Jeff Meldrum, of course. He's given us a lot in regards to his whole morphology and the locomotion and trying to identify prints and frankly, if there wasn't a Dr. Meldrum, I don't think I would believe any of the footprints.
Well, he's like the new Grover Krantz. He's kind of
starting to look like him too.
Yeah, he's got the whole beard thing. And
look at him seriously. It looks just like him. I'm like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
It's Grover 2.0.
Seems like if one if one guy passes, another one's going to take his place, and Meldrum is the new Grover Krantz, basically. So but we need more people like that. Unfortunately for John Bindernagel, he passed away too. I mean, unfortunately, we're having some of these scientists passing away.
Researchers, for sure.
Brian Sykes, he passed away.
Napier was a primatologist, and Bindernagel, of course, and many others we've lost. But we know Sarmiento is involved. We have Mayer, who did her study on the whole mouse lemur thing, but she's kind of gone to that entertainment side, and the same with Natalia Reagan, who's also has a master's in primatology, and she did hers on spider monkey work.
Right.
But again, entertainment side, we've got I put Dr. Haskell Hart in there. He's a PhD in chemistry, but his workings with studies like the Melba Ketchum study, boy, that was a big eye opener if you've read his book, and things that weren't done properly, and how that whole de novo thing happened, and all of that. You need to know all that information, if you're really into the subject and you want answers. And there's still many, many people who believe in Melba Ketchum. Now, she is on this list. She only has her PhD in veterinary science, but she did throw her hat into the ring, right? Which is, we need more of that. Things just weren't going the right way, and that whole
she threw her hat in many rings, and now it's mermaids. So literally, she's looking into mermaids.
Yeah,
okay. Angel DNA thing.
Pay her $10,000. She'll show you some evidence. Can't tell anybody though.
Unfortunately, we're going to have people like that too, who are trying to get involved. So, but I think as long as we have people who can vet properly, like Dr. Haskell Hart or Darby Orcutt, who is research strategies guy. We've all seen interviews with him as well. Those are the kind of guys we still need in here, but they're not like the researchers out in the field. They're more, you bring
the next step.
You bring our evidence to them.
Exactly.
To vet. And they'll tell us if it's fake or not. We're not fake, but if it's legit or
viable,
not. Viable, yeah.
Exactly. So we need those guys. We need to not piss those guys off, because they need to stay in with all of us in good standing.
Well, a couple of them we can piss off, and they'll be like, it's okay. It's all good.
And anyway, there has been formal studies. I mean, John Napier did his whole thing, and the Yeti and the Sasquatch, the myth, whatever thing, and Grover Krantz, as you had said earlier. So we need more of those. I mean, it was Peter Byrne, who sent the things to the FBI, right? The
FBI report,
which turned out to be deer. But we still need that. We need that to keep happening. You know,
Yeah, but it comes down to, we need to keep happening in a very efficient way that is more dialed into the target species that we're going after, and not,
Right. Wasting time, their
yeah,
time, and money.
yeah,
Sending a
yeah,
deer or bear here, that's a waste of time.
which brings up a whole nother thing of, okay, so we're wasting time, but there had been that study, and I think this was regards to Brian Sykes. Now we had the whole gene, what was it called? I had a
Genome
brain.
Project.
Gene bank,
Oh,
genome project thing, where they took 30 hair samples and they did all those analysis on them. They actually tried to do the mitochondrial RNA sequencing off of those, and I think they said 7 samples did not yield any DNA whatsoever. But out of the rest of those, they were all known species, and one human sample, one Homo sapien sample that came out. So people are going to jump all over that Homo sapien one, saying, "Well, that's the Bigfoot,"
Yeah.
Well, we can't find out. We'll never know what that is
No.
because we're human, and we don't know what they are at this point. A lot of assumption and speculation is going in that right now, but we don't know where they fall in that anthropological line. At this point, they could be anywhere. They could have their own freaking ladder in life right now.
Yeah.
So, but you can actually pull up that genetic analysis of the samples. I found the one I found was on the Royal Society Publishing, and it actually has the whole list of every single sample and what it came out, what the result was for each hair. So it was kind of interesting to see, and that's when they also found that polar bear. That
I was right. I was gonna mention that. You mean the
it
Yeti
was,
one?
yeah.
Yeah.
It was where did it say here? I should have highlighted it.
Himalayan bear. I forget the
Yeah,
name of it
it
though.
was here we go. Sequencing derived from hair samples, 100% match with DNA recovered from a Pleistocene fossil more than 40,000 BP of Eumeritmus, I don't know, polar bear, but not modern example of the species. So it's not a modern polar bear. This was a very old one.
Right.
And also another one was the Bhutanese Yeti one was also a pretty old one. So
yeah,
it's interesting.
yeah. That Brian Sykes study, was one of the best opportunities for the Bigfoot subject to really present their DNA and what their potentials were. And I think that we really fell flat on what we presented to him, and the people that he aligned himself with and stuff, and the just the time and resources he wasted into people not doing a proper investigation into what they are thinking is Bigfoot related, and ended up just kind of wasting everybody's time and turning scientists off to to the whole subject. Because I'm sure Brian Sykes, after his whole experience with the Bigfoot subject, is something he wasn't really wanting to dip his toes in too much again, because he
Yeah,
spent a lot of his own money invested into it.
yeah. This one actually stated who was okay. It says here the funding statement is also attached. It was actually Harry Marshall was an independent contributor, and Icon Films. They contributed to the cost of the analysis. So there was actually 2 big players in those analysis costs.
But yeah, but he still, spent his own money, like sending Adam Davies over there, and the whole secret DNA study with the whole with that Bigfoot tree and stuff, and
Right.
I was out of pocket and flying people over there. And,
Sure. And I don't know Bigfoot Gary, but I've recently been hearing about him. So we're gonna all have to go over them.
Yeah, something that's awesome that Bigfoot Gary's out doing that. Something that he really needs to study if he wants to be somebody that is going to be presenting evidence to the public that's going to be peer reviewed, sometimes harshly, depending upon how it's presented. But if he's going to be out there wanting to do that and collect evidence and try and, do something similar to what Jane Goodall has done, it's really important to study how research is done, how investigation standards are held. And so when you're presenting the evidence to the public, you won't run into so much opposition because you'll have, the research structure in place to of vetting it out and understanding what you're looking at, and then at the final point of presenting it to the public, because we're at the point right now in the subject where anybody can go out to the woods, film it from their car, and come back, post it, and say, hey, look, I'm a Bigfoot person, look at all these Bigfoots here, and that's a low standard tier, which is really accepted in this subject. That was an extreme example, but that's kind of where we're at. And so it's if he's going to be out there, it's really developing those research skills to better present and understand what you're doing out there.
Yeah, and hopefully he can help us, or people boots on the ground, what to do and what to look for when he's out there. The scientific methods that he uses when he's out there. I think that would be a nice teaching tool for us to learn, because what are we doing wrong out there? Maybe a scientist can help us with that while we're investigating out there. Also, I want to mention I was interviewed by an anthropologist from the UK recently, and he's doing a research thing where he's asking a whole bunch of researchers about Bigfoot, and I guess what they can do to teach, or teach these scientists, what I guess they can do to look into it, I guess. But there's these scientists out there doing these kind of studies, asking researchers. So there is an interest in it. It's
That's
just,
good.
I'm curious to see what happens with that, if we're going to see more scientists get involved in the subject.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you have the Project Zoo book with Amy Boo.
Yeah, Amy Boo.
Yeah, Amy Boo. But that's more people who don't really want to have that exposure in this subject, because the subject is still kind of taboo in a way that that some people just don't want to be associated with it, which is understandable. But there are people out there. It's just there's no real infrastructure in the subject to facilitate a massive research project could be nationwide that is going to collect that viable evidence.
Yeah,
Right.
I mean, everything is pretty scattered right now. There's so many YouTube channels of these people going out there, and how are we going to categorize all this evidence, or any kind of real legit evidence that's being
That's a
collected
big
and
question. That is
seen
a
out there?
huge question.
I've been talking with some fellow researchers and possibly coming up with an audio database for audio recordings. I'd like that to happen, because we have that for animals, right? A database of animal sounds, and I think there should be. There should be something kind of like that for possible Sasquatch. I know vetting out audio is going to be tough, but I mean, there's obviously some sounds that we've captured that I just don't think are animal or human, and we should probably put those in the maybe pile, and maybe possibly go back to those with comparisons, because like what David said, there's audio recordings that he's getting around the country that are pretty similar. So when you're getting similar sounds like that, I think we can maybe build some kind of database or some kind of library for access, for people to access.
That would be a huge resource. What the BFRO, I think, was originally intending to be, but they got Matt Moneymaker, the leader, got distracted with other things. But I totally agree that something like that would be really useful for the true boots on the ground people that like us, that really just want to try and figure out what's going on out there and not get caught up on crap and not build false narratives where that's going to get tore down when somebody comes along that knows more than us. I'm going to be like, yeah, dude, that's an owl, or that's this, that's that. And but if there was a actual database resource that is like a hub, for all type of analysis of, with, legitimate people, not have it be some sort of, crap fest. But yeah, that would be really beneficial. Hopefully something like that would get set up, because that could help push the ball further down the road, and better vet stuff out too.
It will never really be looked at as solid evidence, I guess, because you will always have situations like, say, Leon and Thomas, where they both at different times found out that a particular sound they heard, audio, turned out to be a coyote. But they heard it at different ends of, an area and at different times of the year. And they didn't know that what they had until Leon saw it physically making that, sound similar to the polyop, how do you say it?
Puyallup screamer.
Yes, I can never say that. So, and then they got together and they realized I had that too, and but it's still their word, it's always going to be, well, did you get video of it? Unfortunately, no, they did not get video of it, but it's going to be who you believe and
who has integrity of who should we believe.
Yeah. Well,
because there are a lot of people out there that we shouldn't be believing. And, some of those people I do like to highlight for us to better understand, like the Wes Germer, Randy Brisson, and, and some of these other people. I don't bring that up to cause drama or to be mean or whatever. It's like, no, this is, it's for people who are actually serious about research. It's like, here's examples of why you really need to be mindful of the information you're accepting out there with some of these investigators that we think is legit. Like, I legitimately thought Wes had his encounter. I thought that was legit. I thought Randy Brisson was a legitimate researcher until I found out he wasn't. And, we just have to let go and understand that does exist in this subject, and not to really consider them a viable source, or really give them more of a platform for that.
Yeah. Right. And again, I want to claim, like, I'm not saying the sounds that I've captured are Bigfoot, because I don't know them. I didn't see what made them. So if we do,
I really like your audio though. Your audio is nice. I like it.
Thanks, but I just want to say, like, if we do make a library of them, we shouldn't say Bigfoot sounds.
It's got to be. You're right.
Possible or unknown, but
unknown sounds.
Yeah.
And just to compare, what if there is a bunch of people with the same sounds out there and we don't know?
Yeah, like the zipper sound.
It's real. Whatever it was a real creature out there making this, and it would help too when you map all that stuff and all those, where these sounds are coming from. Are they from one specific area, or are we getting this exact sound on the other side in the East Coast as the West?
Right. I think that's important. I really do think that is important. If people are getting the same kind of sounds, I think that's important to put that in a category. So,
right.
And the other thing I want to say is, like, we had that stupid bear report recently. Scientists are now thinking we're seeing bears out there, and that's another thing I want to, I kind of like, God, we got to really figure this out and show them that it's not just a bear out there.
It's that's why I put the media on there, because the media puts their own spin on things.
Yeah.
And it only takes one little story for 100 other media outlets to run that same story.
Yes.
Because that was evident 2 shows ago I did that showed, oh my God, the whole Bigfoot news was nothing but the same story spit out over and over and over
it goes
a bunch
viral.
of yeah.
Yeah. It spreads like wildfire. But the other thing with the media is that I think we just mentioned earlier that they'll help pay for studies like the Brian Sykes stuff. They would actually help pay for some of the analysis. So in that way, I think media is kind of important for that, because they have that kind of resources, that kind of money to throw around.
But media also likes to create a narrative and sell what they're investing in, which causes issues with what their result product can be too, because that's the issue with like Expedition Bigfoot is,
pushing a narrative.
they need to get something, a benefit from their all that.
Yeah, you got to give them something that's really get a benefit. The subject.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Leon says the community needs to be prepared to give up the sacred cow beliefs we are carrying.
That's why everybody should restart their investigation into this subject, on better understanding what path they want to go into, because, again, these kind of conversations aren't for the people who are more interested in the stories, more in the entertainment, not really so much on the hard facts. They can't really have conversations of, be critical of stuff. So, have to distinguish that too.
Yeah, you're right, Jay. The majority of the media and the rest of the whole community out there, not Bigfoot community, the rest of the world, okay, they think we're nuts.
Mhm.
They don't believe in any kind of cryptid, period.
Right.
So, that's where what I'm trying to get at is how do we bring this to the rest of the world? And because they want it scientific, they want the scientifical.
Yep.
They want that.
I
So,
know.
Well,
I'm go for it. Go ahead.
oh yeah, I think it comes down to, upping our game as far as creating, or, not creating, but finding better evidence to better, up our game pretty much.
Mhm.
That's the whole goal right there, is the evidence that's collected, and that's going to then be presented. We need to have the people who are collecting it with the best perspective, mindset, and all that fun stuff.
Exactly.
right.
The good evidence is what it is. I mean, that's what we need, and that's what everybody needs in this subject. We need good evidence, evidence that will carry us further down the yard lines. And and like I said, we're at a stalemate here with Bigfoot, the Bigfoot subject. We're still going on the Patterson film. We got to get something better than that. We got to get something that'll make everybody take notice. Everybody, the media, science, everybody.
So
And
how do we get the new kids? How do we get the new kids on the block coming, getting their degrees and bringing them into the field? How do we get excitement for new things out there? We know that new creatures get discovered every
Mhm.
single day, practically, there are new species being brought to science all the time.
Dead and alive. We
Yeah.
keep finding new hominid species. So
That would be the biggest thing of their career to start out with. It's kind of crazy that we don't get more people actually looking more into it. But
Well, I think they do, but it's just more casual. They
Mhm.
dip in and be like, "Ooh, craziness! I'm out. See ya." Because they come across whatever YouTube spits out, which is usually a YouTube channel that is like a Colorado Bigfoot, where it's just,
Mhm.
for those type of people looking in on the subject and coming across that due to the algorithm YouTube is giving us all.
Mhm.
That's why they stay away.
Or they're gonna see the hoaxers too, right? Because they get a lot of hits and views, so they're
Yeah.
gonna see that when they go on YouTube.
Then you have that. That's a whole different part of this whole thing.
Yeah.
Is that we're bombarded with people trying to make a name for themselves and doing it the wrong way. They're
And
doing it by hoaxing or bringing up old stuff or stealing stuff from other people and putting it on.
Yeah.
That is a huge thing that happens in the community. It's not a little thing, and some people don't even know. Every time, every day, somebody posts something old that they hadn't seen that's been in the community before. And that people you should see the comments. Oh my God, that's the best thing. How
Right.
exciting. And, look at the arm length. And it has to be, a Bigfoot. And no, that's a student film from back in 19 blah, blah, blah. Because they're not doing the research.
No.
And you would think in this time, wow, how easy it is to reverse search and to pull up, stuff that people would find out these answers. But they don't. They don't. They really don't.
well, it comes down to the people who are promoting that recycled garbage are usually doing it for a monetary benefit. A good example right now we can all agree on, I think, is Kelly Shaw with RMSO and the perpetual garbage that he constantly is spitting out day after day, where it's like, it's like you just throw your hands up. You're like, this is like, wow,
Right.
you give up on him at that point, where it's like,
Right.
he's definitely sold out to the point where it's all about the money. He doesn't care about the integrity of the subject, of figuring it out. He wants to, keep it all circulating. And this is kind of the big issue in this subject, because he's only one example. That is many examples, even bigger players, of just circulating this crap to exploit it and to benefit it from it. And that's why I like to do and give examples, so we can better understand these people. That's why I talk about these hoaxers. It's like, here's somebody that's hoaxing. Sure, some people are still too emotionally attached to the person or whatever, that they can't get over that, and they get upset with me or whatever. But in time, they'll eventually see, yeah, okay, this is kind of BS. And a lot of it comes down to the money.
Right.
What does don't make the mistake that people serious about science think YouTube is important. Social media is not a place actual research is done, unless you are researching social media populations.
But we could it's where we get information from other people out in the field that we think are doing good, credible work and stuff too.
Exactly. Like these scientists who are not in the know or don't know what's going on, they're going to search online for this stuff, and they're going to come across YouTube, and they're going to see these channels, and they think that's where they get their information from. Like Todd Standing, for example, had some scientists go out with him on these expeditions, and they saw his channel, and they thought it was interesting. They went to him because they didn't know who to look for, who to get involved with in this subject. So that's a problem. And I do think scientists look into this stuff on YouTube, and they get involved with the wrong people, unfortunately. I definitely think that happens.
For sure.
Well, some of these people are really good at lying and manipulating, because they're narcissists, like a Todd Standing or something, that they're really good at manipulating the people around them, the public, and some of these scientists that really feel that they are doing credible work, when in fact, they're just out there blowing smoke up people's ass just for whatever reason,
Right. But yes, that says chat money, but I was meaning to change the C to a T, and I forgot. I was going to say,
I was like,
chat money.
You guys get it. You get what I was trying to do.
So I was like, dumb money.
I was meant to go back and put a T on top of that. I forgot. Anyway, Bruce says younger new scientists are very nervous about risking their careers by showing an overt interest in something like Sasquatch. Absolutely correct. They are. They're trying to make it.
I bet you those scientists, though, are really trying to, and because they have a better understanding of what research is and investigation is, that they could probably, some of them could probably weed out, some of them a lot easier than others. But it's just, it's getting to those people.
Yeah, for sure. But I'm telling you, if you gave one of those new kids a big old healthy grant, they would take it. I don't think it would take. I don't know how much a going rate for a zoological type study is, in this day and age. But
you can actually get a lot of funding for something like that, but it comes out to how it's presented. I was actually going to do a video on this. I looked into it, and there's actually template paperworks out there that you could do to present a research grant to potential donors, which I think could be, but what the grant really entails is, like, it talks a lot about accountability, where the money's going, complete transparency, X, Y, and Z, which, is not really being done in this subject, because how it is the donations usually just, hey, donate, blah, 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 trust me where the money goes. And so there's zero accountability to that. And, the more accountability that we have when we present potential donors, and a more better research plan, we probably could get better funding for it, the subject. I don't think anybody really wants to donate to people now with all the hoodwinking going on.
Yeah, you're not gonna get government backing, obviously, of course. So that's another thing. You're not gonna get the government's help in this research kind of stuff. It's just gonna be us that has to do it. And I kind of wish we. You think there'd be more like Tom Slicks out there willing to give money out to people to research, but it's not like that anymore. So money is an issue, definitely. A video
Especially,
of what? A Bigfoot? What's he talking about?
I don't know. I haven't heard. Is there something new, Jay, that we don't know, that I don't know about? 2 trappers in Ohio just posted a video. Excuse me. So, do you have the name of these trappers or the channel or
Is there a
something?
channel?
Put it out, Ray. Give it a.
yeah, it's worse now with the potential evidence that is being presented on social media and stuff, with the rise of like TikTok and the desire to be adorned by all the followers and stuff. It's really, they create the evidence and stuff in order to get the clicks and views.
Well,
And I think it's worse now than ever before.
the AI art going around. That's a big problem. It's going to even get bigger when they can do a video of something that's AI art. That's what I tried to ask on Steve's show last week, but I guess he didn't understand what I was talking about. But the AI art, people coming out with these trail cam made up trail cam images and such with these AI art. It's just going to fool people even more.
Oh, yeah, they're getting. It's going to get better. I'm telling you, it's going to get to the point we're not going to be able to tell.
Yeah, so this is where it's kind of important for the investigator to be, having a good research and, an investigation in place where, okay, so let's say they collect that awesome trail cam photo. Well, they're going to go ahead and present the metadata, all the other trail cam photos, like every single piece of information associated with that piece of data. So when it's presented to the public, that's going to be the only thing that's going to be accepted. Versus just a picture that shows up randomly, like, hey, look, it's Bigfoot. Look, it's looks like a Bigfoot. Nobody's really going to accept that anymore unless we all strive to create a higher standard by having a complete transparent investigation, like with Todd Standing. It's like, dude, okay, so if you've got all the raw footage of you leading up to trying to get these Bigfoots on film and whatever, release it right now, do it all, because that's going to help validate all the stuff that we're looking at. Because right now, the way that we're all looking at it, for the vast majority of us, it looks fake. It looks like a puppet. You're going to get very little, and I think one of the reasons why he hasn't done that is because it is fake, because it doesn't, it doesn't exist. You might see his sister up there like grooming the Bigfoot or something, sure, but he doesn't want to release that. It's like with the Utah Sasquatch and the Monument Wallow video audio and stuff, where it's like he could have just easily released the original version to, make all that concerns go away. But no, it came down to lies, manipulation, and that's kind of what we all have to deal with in this subject when we are, encountering some of these people out there.
Yeah.
Right.
We've already been talking about this, but why are they not coming? What's the stigma attached to it? And it's kind of like everything we just said. Of course,
shame.
We do have that whole part. They don't want to be, involved in it. Period. Looked at as exciting.
Yeah, and you also get the shaming in the subject itself to help suppress information, where if somebody does speak up about somebody hoaxing or whatever, the subject itself will, shame the person speaking up by, being flooded by all the haters or whatever. And right. Thus, information that we should be knowing is being suppressed. And, I don't really like that whole dynamic in the subject. And that's why I try to, you know, destroy it as much as possible, like talking about some of these people too, like the Randy Brissons and stuff. So
Mm-hmm.
happens on all sides.
That's the other thing is the community. It's, if you want to call it the community itself, that's also a problem, because we can't provide that evidence when everybody's fighting, or I mean, we're not we're not all coming together sharing evidence and stuff. We're all picking sides and opinions, and I mean, that's just, we can't provide that kind of evidence to the scientific community because even our own community's messed up.
Well,
honestly.
a great example is Bumping Lake. Look at Bumping Lake. I think that there's something really going on there. It's such a heavily researched area, but unfortunately it's being researched by different groups that don't share information together. Thus, you can't pick up on patterns that you could easily probably dial in areas so much better. But because of exactly what you're talking about, Bumping Lake is still the enigma that it is because of the lack of community effort of going in and finding out and figuring out what's going on in there.
Yeah, I think everybody should be inclusive, even on the woo side and on the flesh and blood side. I have friends on both sides, you know. I have
Same
friends
here.
same here. I encourage everybody to get involved in the subject and not pick a side on it, because we're not going to get anywhere if we're all going to keep fighting and pointing fingers and saying, hey, you're crazy for believing that they're interdimensional or that they mind speak, because, you know, they're out there too trying to get experiences and evidence of this thing as well. So you can't poo-poo them totally. It's not. I don't think it's fair.
Yeah, for me, it's
fair.
Yeah, for me, it's more about the quality of the person versus their actual belief. Because I've gone out with flesh and blood people that I can't stand. You know, but I have friends that are woo that I have no problem going out with. You know, it's just you set boundaries early on. It's like, I just tell people that have a woo belief, like, this is where I'm at in my journey. I need to see physical evidence, you know, have that, you know, go through that whole process and whatever. And, you know, usually, you know, people like that are cool, you know, and so it's cool that we have different beliefs, because none of us are all going to have the same shared belief. Right. Some people can run away with it, like the Matt Johnsons or whatever, but, you know, on a subsurface level where we're all at, those type of things shouldn't matter, because guess what? So if you believe in ghosts, you are considered woo. So in a way, it's like you're shaming. If you're shaming somebody for believing Bigfoot has woo aspects, but you believe in ghosts, it's like, you know, I don't know. That's an interesting dynamic right there that I'm not sure if people really fully thought out, because it's like, I don't see a point in really shaming people like that.
But of course, you know, the scientists aren't going to believe the woo people, right? I mean, if they tell them, hey, well, I had something mind speak me, or I saw one go into a portal or whatever, scientists are going to they don't want, you know, they're going to say that's just a waste of our time. We're not going to give you the time of day. So that's also an issue. I mean, scientists are not going to accept that, you know. They're going to want physical proof, not anecdotal proof, not what somebody tells them. It's not like a courtroom where, you know, you got an eyewitness telling you something and people decide based on eyewitness testimony. You got to give them some real hard evidence. And I don't know. It's I don't know. I don't know how we're gonna get further in this subject. Honestly, it's like until we provide that great proof, you know, new proof for them to view, we're just gonna stay at the stalemate. You know, we're gonna still go back to the Patterson film.
Well, unless we, you know, start having more discussions about, you know, actual research tactics and procedures and really dialing in what actual research is, how it should be performed in this subject, and where our standards should be at, and what people should be presenting when they're actually, you know, going to be presenting their evidence, like as far as being completely transparent, giving metadata, not getting emotionally attached to it, you know, so we don't get hung up on these little things that the subject gets hung up on, and so we can kind of move forward. But, you know, I think it's going to kind of take time, and it's not going to happen kind of within our little time in this subject. You know, it's more important that we inspire the people who are going to be after us, or just now getting into this subject, to get them the best tools necessary. Because I would have loved these type of discussions when I first got into this subject. It would have saved me so much time, so much, you know, frustration and everything, if I just had came into these type of discussions. And that's why I encourage to have more of these sort of discussions, because this is what moves the ball forward. It's not stories. It's not going to be eyewitness accounts as far as, something that happened 20 years ago, what is popular now in the subject. I think we're kind of heading towards a renaissance in a way of that's not really going to be accepted as much going forward. And so, yeah, I think we just kind of need to dial in the whole research aspect.
Yeah. I do think witnesses are important, like Jay.
Well, yeah,
like everybody's encounter is important in my opinion. It does provide evidence, and I don't think people should throw that out. I
misspoke right there. Yeah, I mean it is, but as far as it doesn't prove a species.
No, it doesn't. No, I know, I agree, but I still think it should be. It's still involve it though. Don't throw it.
Well, absolutely, because those eyewitness accounts. You incorporate into your investigation by okay, these seem to be an area where a lot of people seem to be having sightings here. So, I mean, you are right with that regards, but it's
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah. And the other thing is I haven't experienced mind speak or seen one cloaked or anything like that. But I'm still, just because I haven't experienced it doesn't mean it's not possible. But like what others have said, I view this. I go into this as a flesh and blood researcher. But until I have something like that happen to me, I'll just be open minded to it. But I'm not gonna tell that person, hey, you're crazy because you had something mind speak to you, or that you saw one walk into a portal, because I don't know what the hell's going on out there. Just because I haven't experienced it doesn't mean it's not totally possible, because we don't know everything about this earth and beyond, honestly. And
I'm the same way as you. Is I don't poo-poo any of those things, because it's as far as we know, it's Bigfoot's being beamed up by a UFO. I mean, it's I think UFOs are a very realistic possibility. I've seen stuff myself where it's wow, that's definitely UFO. So there's it's arrogance to think that we are the only ones out there. So is there a connection to why Bigfoot is so elusive, this missing enigma? And I know that's going down the Kiwanis Lapsaritis road, and I'm not going down there, trust me, but I'm just saying with some of this stuff, it does make you wonder, to the point where you should be more open-minded, because there might be technology or something out there that we just haven't fully understood or realized that's out there above in our space sky.
Yeah. And the other thing is these things are supposedly nocturnal, right? How many hominids that we know of are nocturnal? At least the ones that are living. We're not nocturnal, right? We need flashlights and night vision. So there's something going on with these guys. And I don't know. I know there's apes and primates out there that are nocturnal, but I'm just saying, if we're going to think these things as hominids or like us, I personally think it's a totally separate species from us, and it's on its own line. And we shouldn't try to I can't pronounce
anamorphize.
Yeah, we shouldn't try to. See, I can't see it either. I know David said it the other night on the show.
Anthropomorphize.
Anthropomorphize. Yeah, we shouldn't try to categorize this thing as a human, just because we shouldn't try to we shouldn't try
project
to
our human ideologies onto Bigfoot, like we do with the rabbit and Alice in Wonderland and stuff.
Right.
Anthropomorphize Bigfoot with human qualities and attributes and abilities and stuff. You're right. Yeah. That's dangerous that we do that, because that will take us down a road, because we're only thinking that because we do it, and it's well, you shouldn't really think that. And
we project ourselves onto others. That's just how it is, even amongst ourselves. That's just how we are with each other. But when we're dealing with a species like this, I don't think we definitely shouldn't be doing that. Just because they can do something that we can't doesn't mean that we can do the same thing that they can. It's just I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't try to make them. I don't know. I wouldn't try to treat them as another person. You know what I mean? I just think there's just something separate from us, and we should show them respect. But I don't think we should treat them like a human. In my opinion, they're not human. Or something else.
We're not going to track them like a human, like we would a lost tribe down in the Amazon.
Right. Yeah. So I don't know.
I have that video, guys. You can stop sending me that video.
Oh, the
I
Ohio
found it
one.
on my own, but I need a timestamp because I'm not gonna go through the whole video, and because right now I'm watching that video and I see nothing.
So here's a good thing too. It's like, so if the average person is out there looking at evidence and they want to try and figure out if a video is legit or not, a good little deep dive you could do is first check out the channel, see what kind of content they usually produce. Do they probably prank stuff? Like who's that guy? Tim Wells, the famous bow hunter, one of the world's best bow hunters. You know, he's a prankster, so he has that really infamous, you know, Bigfoot video that everybody thinks is a Bigfoot, but it's just really a dude pranking and stuff. And so you can better understand if evidence is real or not by doing a little deeper dive into some of these people that are presenting it. And so it'll be interesting to figure out or to see where this lies.
What is it, like a 40-minute video they have to get through?
It's 37 minutes long. I'm not gonna bother doing that.
Do they title it? Do they title it like Bigfoot in the title?
No, it's no. It's
Oh.
called Mr. Anderson hiking video.
Okay.
So if you've got a timestamp for me to look at, I'll pull it up and bring it on the show. But I'm not gonna go for 37 minutes, Jay. Just send me a timestamp of what you're looking at if it's evidence. Anyway,
Gotcha.
That's great talk. Great. And now my shit won't work. So there we go. This was the last question, and we kind of already been talking about that, but who gets to decide who the authority is in Bigfoot? You know, we always all say there's no experts in Bigfoot.
There isn't.
So
there isn't.
Who gets to say what happens? You know, I gotta blow my nose.
You know, it's funny. I was on YouTube today and I saw a clip from Alaskan Killer Bigfoot, and they had Ron Moorhead on there, and under his name they have Bigfoot expert. So it's like there's no freaking experts in this field. I hate it when they do that. You know, and it bothers me to see somebody like Ron Moorhead going on these kind of shows. It's like, why? For the money? I don't understand why they do that. I think it hurts their credibility. What's up?
Oh, I'm
Nikki.
Oh no, I'm frozen on my end. I'm sorry.
No,
I was like looking up, so I didn't even know I was still live. Oh, there you go. I kicked back on. There we go. So yeah, I totally agree that with Ron Moorhead, but it goes back to the money and why we didn't really go too much into the monetary aspect on why a lot of these people are presenting this crappy evidence out there constantly. You know, like the RMSOs, it's all, a lot of it's all financial. They're exploiting the subject for personal gain. The How to Hunt dude, it's exactly what he's doing. He's able to gaslight and manipulate his audience to defend him, but also accept what he's actually doing, which is just reading unvetted stories that might or might not be real. He's already shown himself to present evidence that isn't viable. That is just a simple reverse search will show that, that's already been figured out. But the
other thing is, like, how many of these Bigfoot channels where there's supposedly researchers going out there get tired of researching and then they just go to these fake kind of videos to get monetization? Like, are there researchers who just get tired of looking and when they can't find anything and then they resort to stuff that we see on RMSO? Because I thought they used to investigate stuff, but then they turned into this video channel.
Yeah, but it's interesting because it's like look at Timber Giant Bigfoot, the Big Red video, and I kind of been like looking into that just a little bit more, and it's like, man, it's so fake. Obviously fake. It's his kid, and but you look at the videos around it and stuff, and it's I don't know, it's really interesting on that. Yeah, I was going with that.
Well, I used to watch his stuff. I mean, I used to watch his videos.
I used to watch him too.
I think he's an interesting guy, but
when I've watched and I saw Big Red, I was really intrigued by it. I have to admit, I was. I don't believe the whole baby on the head or stuff like that.
Yeah,
but
that was weird.
It wasn't the thing sitting there. It was when it stood up and you see that last second of it walking. Around the tree.
Mm-hmm.
That I found interesting. That.
I was actually I was actually going to do a video on it, to a step-by-step process on how that whole hoax went down, and how he, manipulating the environment and the camera itself in order to help pull off the hoax. I was actually going to do a step, because it's like really obvious on how the whole hoax went down, how it was all structured and everything, and especially some of the other follow-up videos when he tries to explain it all. And it's just another project I want to do. But anyways, I forgot where we're going with that.
Well, when he originally released it, wasn't it all cut up, and then people got on him
Yeah.
about that, and then you had to release an unedited version? So
yeah, something that's more unedited, which was more revealing, and which was good on him that he did that, but which is able to help reveal that the whole thing was staged, it was a hoax, because of a lot of the additional information that was provided. So when somebody doesn't want to present that additional information, there's a problem. Like a Todd Standing, that there's something fishy, and it's like, sometimes it's people that we trust, you trust a researcher, and it's like, well, he's not presenting, he's not being transparent. Why is that? Well, probably because he's up to no good, but you just have a harder time seeing that because of the friendship or emotional attachment or whatever you built up with that person. And that's what people need to break away from if they really kind of want to move forward in this subject, and not be, who really want truth and answers and better information to go out there and try and find them.
Right. So again, going back to the question, who's the authority? I don't know what to tell you about that. I don't think there is an authority right now.
The authority is the standard itself that we weighed against, the evidence that we weighed against. That's the authority. And whatever standard we have in place is where it's at. And right now it's really low. So, that's the authority really is it's like the people at the coalition, not everybody, but, that type of, that strict guideline to the scientific method, the way we, do research and investigation, the tactics and procedures and everything are all part of the authority of, that really decides on if something's legitimate or not. So it's not really so much a person, but maybe more of a process and an understanding.
Yep.
I don't see nothing. Okay.
You're looking at the
moving
video?
right along. Yeah, I've been looking through the whole thing. I don't see nothing. Okay, we're gonna move right along because it is time. I'm on the news. Alrighty, so for today in the news, we have former Top Gun has sights set on Bigfoot. This comes out of, where does this come out of? The Conway Daily Sun, sorry. And this was February 27th. Says Tom Baker of Sandwich, a retired naval fighter pilot trained as a Top Gun aviator who now has the sights trained on finding Bigfoot, recently shared some suggestions on how one is most likely to have a Sasquatch sighting during Talk Friday at the Foothills Cafe and Curio in the center of Sandwich. About 50 people packed the tiny cafe to listen to Baker's presentation. And what else? The advertisement on the Sandwich email board described Baker as the Top Gun trained naval aviator who is now the statistician and data analysis for the Olympic Project, the preeminent Bigfoot research organization in the Pacific Northwest. Baker says, when you walk into a place and you sit down at a bar on a regular night, you'll never really sure who you'll get sitting next to you. You could be sitting next to a Nobel Prize winning author. You could be sitting next to a Broadway actor. You could be sitting next door to soon to be famous glass artists. So today you happen to be watching me because I sat at a bar and someone said, why don't you give a talk about a really quirky interest? And it was Bigfoot. So that keeps going on and on and on.
Well, that's awesome. Hopefully he has luck, and he it sounds like he comes from a good foundation of you know just a good foundation, solid foundation. So hopefully he can use some of that to help his own investigation, and
Right.
but for the people who don't have that, that's why it's important that they develop skills necessary out there if they're going to be serious about investigating this subject. Because I think we're at a point where the stuff that is being presented now isn't going to fly anymore. Nobody's going to accept it. The public is no longer going to accept it. I think we're kind of getting to that point because the public is getting better educated on what to look for as far as being a internet sleuth or armchair researcher, whatever you want to call them and stuff. They're getting better. We're all getting better in that regard. So it's going to be harder for those people to exist. But they always will, but it'll be harder.
But you and Nikki showing these hoaxers, bringing out these hoaxers is important. I do think it's important.
Well, it helps protect the integrity of the subject, and I know it's not a favored topic in the subject. Like I say, a lot of people
don't want to hear about this stuff, and that's fine.
Right.
But don't be going on and praising it, thinking that it's the real thing without doing the minimal amount of search on these things.
And those are the people that we usually have a harder time interacting with, like how Judy came after me and stuff so hard. It's like, she's coming at it from a different perspective and a different mindset, goal, everything than I am. So it's like, that's when we start having conflict in the subject, is when we don't understand the other person's perspective on what they're coming about as far as it, Yeah, I think that's just one of the big communication issues in the scene itself.
Well, some people just need to know that we're not all in this for the same reason. Like, there's people in this for money, and we're not all on one page on this subject. So some people just need to understand that. So
yeah, and the fact is people are out there hoaxing, and the people I talk about, I am very confident that they are hoaxing. I'm getting better at presenting it, and how to articulate it better. But you're right. The more we know, it does help an investigation. Because just imagine, I've actually had so many people reach out to me over the last month, like an insane amount of people I couldn't even respond to, thanking me for talking about, raising awareness of like, oh, hey, Randy Brisson was a hoaxer. Had no idea. Oh, Sasquatch Chronicles and West Germer, it was a hoax. Had no idea. And so a lot of people appreciate that type of information. Not everybody's does and won't publicly support it, but behind the scenes, I've gotten a lot of support where it's like, wow, that's one thing I did not expect it to happen. It's kind of like all that type of support. Because when I first started to talk about a hoaxer, like with the Bigfoot tree, it's like I got zero support. It was like people were like shunning me. It's like, why are you talking about this? You need to like remove all this information. You need to not talk about this type of stuff. It's too taboo. That was the standard back then, but things have changed. And like I say, we're headed to a new area, and things got to change. So
yeah, we do. It's always good to have some changes in there, and just just let people do, I guess. Anyway, were you gonna say something, Tristan?
Well, I was gonna say, I just think the hoaxing is another incentive for us to find evidence, not just for the scientific or everybody else community, but to get these freaking hoaxes out of here, because I'm sick of it. If we find something that proves, but I mean, if we find something that really proves this thing exists, I don't think we're gonna see very many hoaxers anymore. At least not as much.
No, that's the best way to get rid of them, is to actually go out and get the evidence.
Yeah, I mean, like Todd Standing keeps going back to his puppets and everything. He hasn't come up with anything new. He keeps going back to his puppets. thinking
There's
that's his
nothing
claim to
new
fame.
since that has ever
Exactly.
happened with him.
Exactly.
So,
Yeah,
but
I that's why I wanted to chime in there.
still have
That's all.
thousands of people.
But I also noticed that the people who fall for like the Todd Standings and whatever, they're usually new into the subject. Usually like 1, 2, 3 years into the subject.
Yeah.
Once you get past that mark, which some people don't, it's like starting a business. Most people fail within the first 3 years. In this subject, most people get out of the subject within the first few years because of they don't like what they see or X, Y, and Z reason and stuff. But I think a lot of them are that support some of these low tier hoaxers like Todd Standing and stuff is because they're new to the subject, and that's what is being just kind of being promoted out there.
Yeah.
All right. Well, next in the news, we've got out of Fox 31 Denver. Where are the most Bigfoot sightings in Colorado? They came up with a whole list, and of course, these reports came from the BFRO. But it was interesting anyway. You really do have to know the counties there in Colorado for this to make any sense for you. But Park County being the number one with 13 sightings, Teller County at 9, Conejos at 7, Lake County at 8, Lemire County at 8, El Paso County at 7, Eagle County at 6, 5, 5, and 5. So total of 130 sightings. The most recent report was in June of 2021. I have a feeling that's incorrect, though. Information right there. It also went ahead and listed the top states for Bigfoot sightings. And of course, that goes to Washington, 708 sightings. California at 461 and Florida at 338. We've got Ohio at 318, Illinois 302, Oregon 257, Texas 253, Michigan 225, Missouri 166, Georgia. I thought there was no Bigfoot in Georgia. 140, Colorado at 130, Pennsylvania at 126, New York at 120, Kentucky at 115, Oklahoma at 111. And that's all.
I think you're mistaken. There's no common sense in Georgia.
Shit.
You just killed Nikki. Good job.
Oh my
Sorry.
God.
Oh, look, I'm frozen again.
I always find it funny when you hear people say, I thought there was just one Bigfoot.
Oh.
When you hear people say, I thought there was just one Bigfoot in the Pacific Northwest.
I know, huh?
Where are these people coming from?
Hey, it's a lack of knowledge. Honestly, when I first got in this subject, one of the very first things I typed into Google was the difference between a Sasquatch and a Bigfoot. I had no idea the difference. So I actually had to Google it. And so we all have to start somewhere. And, that's where I started, was that Google search.
Google. The good old Google. I've got this one, King County, Washington. This is out of the, what is it, out Fox 13 again. King County, Washington. Deputies are investigating 2 robberies at a coffee shop in Kings County on Monday night. They robbed Bigfoot Java. You didn't even tell me.
They were looking for Bigfoot in the wrong place.
Yeah. It was just a fun little one, I thought. It was fun.
It's funny, I've never been to one of those, even though I
Same
have
here.
around.
I was thinking about doing like a live stream just through the whole process, go through the drive-through, because I have like a bunch up here and stuff, and it's like,
so it's like they're all over. You guys have Bigfoot Javas all over?
I think it's
up here, yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh wow. Never heard of it before. Interesting.
Yep. Well, Bigfoot's really kind of more accepted up in this area as far as people putting it on their business and stuff. I even thought about doing that when I was starting my business. Like, no, can I incorporate Bigfoot and stuff in this? Like, not really, but but it's you see it everywhere up here. It's really generally accepted. You see it more toys, more paraphernalia, shirts, all that type of stuff, and
definitely more accepted now. Yeah.
Yeah, vast majority, and a good place to find Bigfoot information is the hiking community. Go into your local hiking Facebook group and type in Bigfoot in the search, and it'll pull up all the previous discussions of what people talked about. and saw and stuff. So
Mhm.
if you're looking for information and dialing in areas, that's a good resource there.
It's a good idea.
I actually put this in here because I found it really interesting on 2 cases. Number one, that this giant flying insect was found on a Walmart building turned out to be a Jurassic era find. It's an old, what was it called? It's called a giant lacewing. Okay. And it just so happened that the guy who saw it was an entomologist, and he thought, wow, this is kind of crazy, and had grabbed it and took it with him to identify later. But that wasn't the only thing that I found intriguing, is that I just saw this come out, right? This is new news. This just dropped. It was in, because I only go back 1 week when I'm doing searches. But this happened in 2012.
Wow.
So that shows you how media revolves and new stories get popped up, and you really have to look at the story and read the story, because I would have not known. I thought, oh wow, this just happened. If I had just read the title, and
Which a lot of us do.
Yep.
yeah, and moved on, I would have thought, wow, they just discovered something. You never know, something came back or whatever. But it wasn't until later, in the second paragraph, that it mentioned he found it on a shopping trip in 2012. That was a long time ago. So just, that's what I was like, whoa.
Circulation in the media.
Right. They're really hard up for information.
Wonder why they picked that one, though.
It is time for the original. Show me what you got.
Show me what you got. Jim, you heard them said, show me what you got. Show me what you got. I want to see what you got. Oh boy.
I like this original idea that you got.
Yeah, thank you.
It's a very good segment.
Yes, I agree. So what we got today is something that's been all over and all the Facebook pages. Everybody's sharing it. Little bit info. I gotta go back to the chat. I'm not even watching. Sorry, guys. So story behind this is that father and son were out fishing somewhere in Canada, and they heard some noises going on, and when they turned, they seen this guy staring at them, and got several pics. There's several pics involved with this. But for me, I swore I had seen it before. One of those things, I've seen it before. I just didn't know where. Now, this has kind of got a different take. It wasn't that I had seen it before, but I wanted to see if let me backtrack a little bit. I knew I had seen it before. Just how do you go about finding it? So I went on a deep search for almost 6 hours looking for this thing. And I found it, but
Nice.
It's not that it was a hoax, okay? I'm not saying this is a hoax because I don't know. All I know is that I had seen it a long time ago, and it was posted in the Coalition back in 2022, July 2022. Okay, this is the original post over here on the left, okay? And if you hit it, it links to other pictures, which is the picture you see on the right. Okay, that's out.
Okay. Yeah.
So I had seen it before. Now, they still didn't have very much information other than who posted it and stuff like that. But I don't know. I did a deep dive on the guy, and he doesn't have anything. Okay, there's nothing substantial to go look at from this guy. So I don't know if he just grabbed this photo back in 2022 and popped it up. Okay, but we have more understanding because he has this picture with other pictures that are hoaxes. Okay.
Did he take those as well or not?
So there's no information about that.
Oh,
but
okay.
we know that some of those photos that were attached to this one were from movies.
Oh, okay.
They
Right.
were from movies. I know 2 of them that are from movies. But it's just he just attached that on there. So I don't have the original. The poster who recently put it up a week ago or however many days ago it was, there's even a little video attached to it, saying this is what happened and goes through the whole storyline. But they never released the original date it happened, other than it happened like a year ago. So the dates do match up. If that was real, the dates kind of do match up. However, the fact that this was also attached to something else a year ago, it kind of sends up some red flags as to what it was.
Well, also, if it's from a video, I want to see the video. Why do they just post screen caps of it? Just show the video.
Well, that's me doing this. The video is out there. You can go to.
Right. But that's what I'm saying. Like, if somebody were to, why are people just posting pics of it? Just show the video.
It wasn't the video. What it was is a screenshots, and they were put into motion. What do you call those? When they are edited. It were heavily edited into the motion.
Like a GIF or
but
something?
It wasn't actually video. Yeah, you're right.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm coming to the end of.
It's so funny when they have a red circle. It's like, oh yeah, I can't see that. Or I can't see that figure there in the middle. I need the circle.
Yeah, and that was just so I could show the post that it was attached to.
Yeah.
But that is in there. So
interesting.
It is. So it's not something new, folks. That's not a new thing. This is not new. This is something old. Just so
again, another reason why we need some damn good evidence, because we're gonna keep saying this stuff being circulated.
Right.
God.
Here's your classic. Here's
My
your red circle there, Tristan.
Yeah. Exactly.
This one I was like, oh my God, really?
The red circles are insult to injury. It's like you already have something blurry and zoomed in, and now you go put red circles in there.
Yep, they missed one. That little face down there.
This one right there in the
that
middle.
one on the bottom. I thought that was the best of all, and they missed
one there.
Yeah,
even I could see that. Jeez.
Come on, people. No, jeez. Anyway, here we go. Here's your Igor Burstev and his recent posting. Well, how recent was it? It was in the coalition too.
Yeah, I saw
there. Yeah.
A couple weeks ago. But this is his friend who captures this Bigfoot, and they've trained it to drive a car and a tractor.
Is this the same one that's on the cell phone?
Yes, I think so. Yeah, and I tried to get. I asked Igor what Bigfoot's phone number was, so I can, I had some questions and stuff, and I could text Bigfoot and stuff, but I haven't heard back from him yet. But I'm hoping to get Bigfoot's number so I could be like, "Hey, Bigfoot, what's up, man?" But
they got to give him a driver's license.
The other photos that are attached to.
I like the one in the middle.
That's my favorite.
Yeah.
Look at Bigfoot right there. He's driving. Solved. Mystery solved, guys. Let's go home.
Yep.
We're out of here. We're done.
So a lot of you who don't know, Igor went to a conference. Was it last year?
Yeah, he's gone to various conferences. He's been kind of tagging along here and there. He's got a little bit of a following, and he's been promoted by Duke Radio, at old World Radio, Duke, whatever.
World Radio.
Yeah, which just a propaganda machine. But anyways.
Well, he gets on his cell phone and calls Bigfoot. Is it Gary? Did he name him Gary?
It's like Geisha or Gacy. I don't know.
Some weird
something
name.
Weird. Yeah.
Yeah, something that.
And he has full conversations with him on the cell phone during the conference. And there's videos of that out there, people. You can go find.
Yeah.
Yourself.
You gotta get him on a podcast. I want to hear him talk.
Oh my God.
So what's going on with this guy here, Igor? I mean, why is he believes these are Bigfoot? I really do think that he believes these are Bigfoot, because I don't think he is firsthand taking these pictures. They're being sent to him or something.
Yeah, somebody's
And somebody, I think, is just, just trolling them, having fun, saying like, oh my God, what will this guy believe in? Let's just throw all this stuff at him, and he's accepting it at all,
Right.
Igor, he's not well known in this subject, but he's circulated around. And so like the dreads though. Dreads are nice.
Oh, I know, right?
Yeah.
So I guess these are enhanced photos from the originals, because the original showed even more how it was fake, like seams or whatever, even more of the wrinkles and stuff to show the costume.
Folds in the costume. Yeah.
So these are the enhanced versions, folks.
These are the enhanced versions. Yeah. Anyway, I know that he was even talking with Steven Strufert there for a while in the post until Steven had to block him. It's good. It was great. It was a good conversation.
Yeah.
Let's move on. Here's another one that doesn't have red circles.
What am I looking
but
at?
she did put 2 dots for the eyes. Okay. Now, if you look, that little corner picture is actually at the bottom of the screen. The very, very bottom is where she's saying that Bigfoot is. And yeah, I guess the rest of the body's in the ground. So you see it, Tristan?
Yeah, I see it. It's just, yeah.
Come on, folks. That's kind of ridiculous.
Oh, yeah. I wish people would stop accepting these kind of photos.
And they do. And the
I
comment,
know.
I didn't put the comments up on this one, but they do. And up there she says, the video I took Wednesday was full of new friends. What a wonderful place. I will be returning to this spot as soon as it warms up again. Can you spot him in the first photo? I have dotted the eyes in the second photo to help you. He is really hiding.
Oh, yeah. I was going to say, those eyes look like they're dotted in. They weren't.
Yeah, she dotted the
there.
bottom so that we could see, but it's, oh my God.
Well, yeah, I mean,
it's a Where's Waldo situation.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great example of what isn't evidence and how this isn't really worth publicly sharing. But you also have to understand that some of these people sharing these type of pictures aren't they are a little different, that maybe they're making it up for specific reasons or whatever.
Right.
It isn't always nefarious. Huh?
Are they making it up, or they actually believe what they
they probably believe it, it's I don't know, it's more of a difficult and subject to talk about, or aspect of the subject to talk about.
Right.
Same kind of thing like a porcupine.
If she knows that this is not real, that's a hoax. But if her mind is really seeing this shit, then
which I think a lot of people do.
That's her.
Okay. Yeah, it's something that I think people use as an outlet to help themselves emotionally and to help deal with things in life. And those people, I don't really ever want to take that away from them or anything. I actually just move on and ignore them. Yeah, or not ignore them, but I realize, hey, they're not a viable source of anything, so I'm just going to kind of move on. And because there are some people, because of this subject, there's not a lot of information known, that it allows people to come in and create their own narratives, and sometimes it's beneficial for therapeutic purposes, I guess. Not for research, though. It's horrible for research, but we just have to better recognize those people and move on from them.
And what is this photo?
This is another one. You can see the Bigfoot standing there.
Oh yeah, I showed my picture. I showed this to my son. I'm like, hey, look, here's Bigfoot. He looks at it.
Oh yeah, I see. I forgot about this. Yeah.
He like shakes his head. It's like didn't even fall for it.
Now,
I saw this a few years ago.
Brent,
I thought
it kind of looks like the costume from Letters from the Big Guy,
or what his name was. I thought he was involved.
It wasn't Letters from the Big Guy, but I feel it is from a movie. A lot of people in the comments thought it was from a movie, but for some reason I couldn't find it. And I know exactly what it looked like in my mind, the trailer picture, but I can't now. For some reason, I couldn't find it, but I do. I think this is from a movie. So anybody out there who knows what the movie is, please. But for some reason, I always see the picture up. I always see the movie
Yeah.
trailer, and now
Oh,
I couldn't find it.
Hunting the
So
Legend or something. I don't know.
something,
Something like
I don't
that.
know. I did a deep dive again, but I'm sick, so I was off and on the computer trying to do this.
Yeah, I do remember seeing this. So yeah.
So if you guys know what movie this is from, let me know. Drop it in the line, and we'll revamp it for next week and show where it's from. I'll try to look it up again and see if I can find it this week too.
because it's the perfect hoax picture in a way, or perfect fake
Too
picture, because
perfect.
They're always hiding.
yeah, it covers up the face, so you can't really
Yeah.
see the
Can't
face
see.
or anything,
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
it
it's
covers up the important details. So that's another thing people can watch out for when they're examining photos. If it's like, oh wow, it's so oddly covered up in a way that you can't see
Right.
specific detail, that's a red flag. So
Absolutely.
good thing for people to watch out for going
Yeah.
forward.
for
I mean,
sure.
if you're gonna hoax something, do a Patterson thing. Just do it. Don't hide it.
Right.
Just try to duplicate Patterson. Oh, here's this from the documentary.
Yeah, this is just a reminder for those of you who didn't see. Everybody kind of touched on this. I think even Steve did. Everybody has, but I wanted to put it in here again. This was out. That picture was out, saying it was from a trail cam. It's actually a screenshot from a French documentary called A Species Odyssey. The
Mhm.
timestamp is 2548. You can go figure it out for yourself. But I just wanted to document it on one of my shows. That way I can have it for later.
Sure.
So there
And
you
and and something to watch out for when you come across something that someone is presenting as a trail cam photo is if it doesn't have the little thing at the bottom, like the weather, breakdown time, and all that stuff. It's fake. Just toss it. Don't even really waste your time on it. Because that, why doesn't it have that vital information with it?
Well, people could add a fake line there too, though. They could add.
Yeah.
Well,
a
yeah,
fake bottom.
they definitely can, but if it's not
Yeah.
there in general and they're saying it, then it's like, that's a good red flag right there. But yeah,
Right.
they can and do. I've seen some that have faked them where it's like, but it's those might be a little harder, but we'll take time and figure it out. We're not going to get emotionally attached to it, and we're going to put
Right.
it up on the shelf or whatever, take it down every so on, that whole thing.
Right.
Yep.
So I got to be on the lookout, but I don't know if I have a be on the lookout because I want Brent to come back to be my co-host. But if he doesn't want to, I am still looking for a permanent co-host. So if you know somebody who has equipment or something and has the time to sit around and talk Bigfoot on Sunday afternoon, let me know, please. Let me know.
Well, I mean, I'll definitely be more than happy to help out, kind of going forward. It's just I didn't really want to ruin your show. I didn't want to ruin anything that I was kind of associated with because I knew I was going to be doing things that I could get a lot of slack for, and I know that there's collateral damage is a real thing, especially with the whole thing with Mogs and stuff of like basically shitting on everything we do. And it's like, I can see how I could potentially cause issues for people. And, that's the last thing I would ever want to do for you is cause any sort of harm to your channel or anything. So, I mean, that's why I kind of like stepped away. One of the, main reasons why, kind of stepped away from it.
I understood that. I think a lot of people understood that. The one thing is that I wanted everybody to know, no, Brett and I didn't get in a fight or anything.
Oh, no, not at all. No.
We talked about it, it was an ongoing thing at the time, and he was going after some people. So,
that was right before the Wes Germer thing dropped, and I knew I was going to get like a lot of negative feedback. Which, in weird thing is, I didn't, and like I didn't.
Yeah.
I've had people that Strangeland guy. First off, Strangeland, you need to stop being a creeper, but you have people that kind of act out towards other people. Like Strangeland's been blocked by a couple of people, all because he was going after them because of me. Literally, that's what the issue was. It's like they have, because they, probably, watch whatever, a show I'm on, they have a problem with. Like when I was on Hidden Existence with Danielle, that's like caused a lot of issues for the people because, they didn't like me because they, don't really understand why I'm doing some of this stuff. It's more beneficial. And I think history will reflect that as well. That's more beneficial. So, I mean, I say, I can't guarantee every weekend because, I really kind of want to dial in and see a Bigfoot or have something, really special happen to really kind of get me more motivated. So I'm really going to kind of focus on that. And I have some other things I need to do too on the weekends and help with some families and stuff.
Right.
But yeah, on other days, I could definitely help out.
Yeah, so if there's somebody out there who's interested, I've even tossed around some ideas with Slackmate is somebody who I've been talking to about my shows. He's probably one of the only people other than Brent that I talk about my shows to and bounce ideas off, and he's expressed an interest in possibly coming in and in not being on the show, but possibly being behind stage and helping me with the chat. So that's also another possibility because I know I'm missing some stuff there, but I do the kind of show where I really need to stay focused on what I'm doing over here, and the chat goes pretty fast sometimes. So
yeah, actually, I can't even look at chat right now. Like I don't even look at chat anymore because it's so distracting. Where it's like I'll lose what I'm saying, or not be involved in the conversation here, or And
I want you guys involved. I want you asking questions. I want that to be part of the show more. So that's why this is going to be a possibility coming forward, that I am going to have a producer down behind stage doing that for me with that specific purpose of keeping an eye on the chat.
So you can kind of focus, on what you're presenting,
on what the questions, and I won't miss them. You'll be like, oh, good. I think it'll work out better that way. But I do have some exciting news, Brent.
Ooh.
It's official. I got my tickets in hand for.
Oh, nice.
For July.
Nice.
So I am there. It's happening. These are not.
I'm already predicting. I'm predicting great weather, so it's gonna be awesome.
I'm excited. I'm now that it's like in my hands and it's non-refundable written on the top of there. I'm going. So
committed.
No matter what happens, I'm going to be there. So it's going to be fun. I can't wait. I can already tell people are starting to get excited about it, and
Is this your first time coming to the Pacific Northwest?
No, actually, I have friends in Seattle, so I've been there many times.
How about have you been out to like the forest here and stuff?
No, that I have not. I've not camped in the Pacific Northwest at any time. It's always been there in Seattle. It's the only place I've
You're
gone
in for a treat.
So I'm looking forward to it. And I hope Jen is going to be there, because if Jen, my girl, is going to be there, we're going to have a blast. And it's going to be fun. So good times. It is going to be good times. Yeah. Thank you guys for coming, and we had a good chat.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. No, it's good. Thank you for having these type of discussions, because these type of discussions, I think, really push the ball forward and stuff. So, thank you. Yeah. I encourage more of these type of discussions. They're not as sexy as like Bigfoot, evidence or whatever, stories or whatever. But, if you're really out there, boots on the ground, and want to try and better your own investigation and help other people, and these are the discussions we need to have.
For sure. I'll leave you on a little public announcement. Don't ever forget your camera or your phone or your GoPro. It says darn, and me without a camera. The Bigfoot didn't. You get it? Anybody get it? Laugh. Yeah, that was supposed to be funny. Anyway.
That was a good one.
It was there. I don't know if it was a good one, but anyway, you guys, thanks for being here. Thanks for coming and sharing the time. I know Steve's got a good show coming up for you, so you guys can head on over there. And always remember, I love you guys. Thanks for all the support you give me, and we'll see you guys in the next chat. Yeah.